There's no two people in the same place at the same time. It's very important to understand. You can't have the same answer. Why do I say that? Because there's a lot of people giving lectures. They're selling a product and saying this is great for everyone. People are believing it. Not necessarily true. Now, there are some things that are great for everyone, like my books and DVDs. There are certain whole foods in a supplement form, like the moringa, that has all the nutrients that our body can use to thrive. But when you really look at what vitamins and nutrients we need, that's where the blood work can tell us what we need. There's the science part of it. There's the detoxing part of it, and Dr. Koifman's going to be here talking about that tomorrow, detoxifying and cleansing, which is very helpful and important. A lot of people don't do enough of that. But then there's his plan. You know, and it was tough for me to get off his plan because, for example, I kid you not, I really do develop a passion to go out on the beach with the metal detector, but more than anything, it helps me disconnect from sitting on a computer all day and just working. That relaxation. You know, because I can look at the other side and get stressed out that I'm not going to get my work done and I'm out here playing these games and all that. No. It's that disconnecting, that relaxing. That's helping me heal. Let alone I'm near the water and I got the negative ions and all this stuff. But there's something to it. It's relaxing, and it's something we have a tough time doing in this society where we're always on the go and everything else. Some people talk about the cell phones being bad because of the radiation. Well, even worse, we can never be by ourselves. I have a cell phone, but I don't have a smartphone. I don't call it a smartphone, a lazy phone that does everything. You know, but it's we need to not get stressed out. Stress adds to that obstruction. Not getting enough sleep is going to add to our stress. Not knowing our Creator's plan is going to add to that stress. How do we avoid stress? There's ways we could avoid stress. And it took me a long time to figure some of these things out. One of the greatest ways I like to avoid stress, and I never did this when I was younger, is listen to classical music. It relieves so much stress, classical music. And I don't know why. I haven't studied the sounds of why. How many of you agree that listening to classical music relieves stress? Another way to relieve stress is look at a baby. It doesn't have to be a human baby, even a kitten or a puppy. A baby, you could have like the worst day and then you see a baby and all of a sudden your face changes, your expression changes. I'm thinking, why don't people look at me like this? But looking at a baby. Classical music. Ways to relieve stress. Make that list as big as you can think and do those things as much as possible. And then another one I learned from women have taught me a way to relieve stress. And I never thought about this one, and that is going for a walk without having a reason to go somewhere. For no reason, just going for a walk. Because I used to think, you mean you're going to go somewhere without having a destination? That just is a waste of time. My wife said, I'm going for a walk. Where are you going? Nowhere, just for a walk. But I finally figured it out. Now I go for walks. Sometimes I really want to relax. I go for a walk and on I put on my headphones, my iPod, I listen to classical music. Sometimes it's so relaxing, I wake up on the sidewalk sleeping. So relaxing. It's important. And then the greatest way in the world to relieve stress or avoid stress, the greatest way, and if you've done this, you're going to understand, and if you haven't done this, you're just going to be confused. I finally figured it out. I got rid of my PC and I got a Mac. Boy, a lot of that stress went right out the door. So we have to think about these things. Our body can get away with a lot with eating food that we shouldn't be eating. Sleep, it can't get away with too long. Water can't get away with too long, but for an amount of time. We have to realize these things. We have to do these things. It's so important to understand that I've seen it so often, and we can get stressed out. I can get stressed out because on a regular basis, I have people come to me tell me they felt amazing. They were doing great. Some people were even on a raw food diet. They go to their doctor and they're told they have stage 4 cancer and they only have a certain amount of time to live. I can get stressed out thinking, that could be me. I can get stressed out thinking my best friend who's been on a raw food diet for almost 15 years, 2 years ago ended up getting a brain tumor and dying. That could be me. I can get stressed out all of that. But I choose to say He has a plan, and I want to stick as close to it as possible, and His will be done. But it's not easy for everyone to say that. It's not always easy for me to say that. But I'm learning a lot of things to relieve stress. How many of you are married? You talk about stressful situations, right? But I'm learning ways to relieve stress. You know, I desire as much as possible to learn as much as possible about what the Bible has to say. And to do that, you'd obviously have to learn the language it was spoken in. So I want to learn Hebrew. Even though I look like I should know Hebrew, I don't. Not yet. So I want to learn Hebrew. But everyone said, when are you going to learn Hebrew? I said, I want to learn Hebrew, but I'm studying another language. And what language is that? Woman. Until I figure that one out, I can't relieve myself of the stress to learn Hebrew and take time away from that. But there's so many wonderful things in life that we just take for granted and we don't understand until it happens to us. It's like the movie stars, they will support a cause if something happens to them. But before that, they could have cared less about it. We need to do something about these things now. We all have a wonderful opportunity to do something about these things. The food part is easy. It's easy. More people get sick from overeating than undereating. The resting part is essential. Not being lazy, but being wise, good steward of your time. It's essential. Anyone's eyes who's been open up to something, anyone's eyes who have been open up to something can realize and see what they were doing previously. And it's could be stressful or aggravating knowing, well, why don't these other people see it? We have to step back and say, well, wait a second, I was once there. I heard on NPR radio the other day, this teacher who would get people, his students, when they were younger, to write letters to themselves in 20 years. And now it's 20 years later, and they're revisiting those letters. Some of those people, unfortunately, aren't alive anymore. But can you imagine if you heard something from your past a long time ago? Or what if you could speak now to you that long ago and the lessons you've learned? And then start thinking, well, what would I like to do, or where I think I'll be in the future and all these things. You know, they call it dementia or Alzheimer's disease and all this stuff. It's a lack of use of the mind. A lack of use of the body is, inflammation and obesity and all these things. We've got to keep it moving, keep it working. Dr. Shandell is a black belt. Dr. Shandell is a competitive swimmer. He's not a young guy. And you talk about humble. He didn't. I wasn't here for the whole thing, but I don't think he said that, did he? You see? So there's a lot of things we have to learn, and food is part of it, but there's important things out there. And one of my friends has a website. I think it's called Unschool or Unlearn. Unschool. Unlearn. Because we got to unlearn a lot of the stuff we've been taught. And or you could be like me. I didn't go to school too much, so I didn't have to learn it to begin with.